Hello, welcome to my channel. This is the part 1 video of CLO3D presentation. In this video, I am going to show you how to create a showroom space. When you finish your design in CLO3D, you have few options to display your design. You can render your garment, record animation clip with motion, or turntable. And you can also create a background to showcase your designs. Having a background can give your design more context and provide supporting visual elements. In CLO3D library, there is a stage folder which you will find some preset runway stages and background spaces. They are quite nice. But when you can't find any background that will go with your concept, you will need to create your own. Here is a quick demonstration to show you the tools you will use when creating a background space. First, go to 3D window toolbar to turn on ground grid. This will help you to make sure your space is parallel to the ground. You can select any type of fabric to create the space. Since you won't be use any sewing or simulation, it won't affect the result. Use rectangle tool to create the floor in 2D window. Go to 3D window and use gizmo to rotate the piece. Right-click and move to ground center. Then go to Property Editor. Under Simulation Properties, increase the amount in thickness rendering. Go up to Curved Side Geometry. You can adjust the curvature percentage if you like the edges to be rounded. I prefer a sharp straight cut edge, so I will turn off the function. Once you add thickness, part of the floor pattern is above ground grid. Make sure to use gizmo to move the piece right below ground grid. This way, when you bring out avatar, the avatar's feet will be above the ground. Next, I will create a second rectangle for the first wall. Use gizmo to rotate this piece to 90 degrees and add thickness rendering. If you want to add glass window to the wall, use internal polygon tool to create a shape within the pattern piece. Right-click and choose Cut. Lower the thickness rendering for window pattern and change material type to glass in Property Editor. Most of the time when you cut a shape from a pattern piece, it will reactivate Curved Side Geometry function. As you can see, the wall edges became rounded. To fix the issue, just go back to Property Editor. Turn on Curved Side Geometry and turn it off again. This will fix the problem. For the second wall, I am going to make a 3D textured wall. Unlike the first wall, this time I will create a narrow rectangle shape. The width of the piece is the thickness of the wall. To make it easier to understand, here is the example of a molding. The picture is the molding side cutout view. I am using internal line to trace the shape. Then right-click and clone as pattern. Once I have the side view, I just need to add thickness rendering and turn off curve side geometry. And here is the molding piece. Now go back to finish the second wall. I am using internal lines and points to create the side view of the wall. Add thickness rendering and rotate the piece. And there, I have made a 3D texture wall. Use the same method. You can create columns as well. Once you are done with the structure, you can change floor and wall colors and select material type to complete your look. Now you have an idea of what functions and tool to use when constructing a background space in CLO3D. I am going to demonstrate how I created this showroom. First, let me bring out an avatar as a size guide. This way I can see if I need to increase or decrease the space. Then select a material, or you can just use default fabric. Creating background space in CLO3D is pretty similar to creating accessories. You don't need to sew or simulate anything. Basically, you just make many different shape of pieces and put them together as if you are building blocks. Normally, I will start with the base of the structure. This will determine the size of your room. Go to 2D window and use rectangle tool to create the floor. Then go to 3D window. Use gizmo to rotate the piece and make it parallel to the floor. Remember to turn on the ground grid to help you to keep your floor and walls straight. Also, you need to turn on thick textured surface to be able to see the thickness. Go to Property Editor. For the floor, I would put 50 for thickness rendering. Go up to Curve Side Geometry and turn it off. Go back to 3D window and move floor below ground grid. Repeat the same process to make second rectangle shape. This will be my main focus wall. For this floor, I am going to add some pattern to give a luxurious look. All this will be done with internal lines. Once I finish with the design, make sure all the internal lines points are connected. Then, select all internal lines, right-click and choose Cut. Now I can change color and choose material type for the floor pattern. Also, for this showroom, I am going to add marble texture to the surface. Now the floor is done, freeze the piece. So if you accidentally click simulate, nothing will happen to this pattern. Next, I am going to work on the main wall. For this wall, I will create a 3D wavy wall art and add my logo. Remembered I showed you the way to make a 3D textured wall earlier. I will use the same way to make this piece. First, make the shape of the pattern from the side view. Rotate the piece. Then add thickness rendering. I am adding laminate wood texture to this wall art. By the way, here is a website you can find a lot of free texture. It's called Polyhaven. Go to top window, click on Assets, you will see Texture. In Texture, there are quite a few texture options for you to choose. Once you select a texture you like, on the right side of the window, choose 4K and select Zip File. For the zip contents, you have options to download JPEG or PNG file. Each texture comes with normal and displacement files. Once you select the file you need, just click Download, and you will be able to upload this file to CLO3D. Now I have added the laminate texture to the 3D wave wall piece and marble texture to the wall. The last thing is to put my logo and this wall be completed. Moving on to the second wall. Use rectangle tool, enter the width and height to generate the pattern. Use gizmo to rotate and place this piece at the idea spot according to your design. I am adding a few internal shapes on this piece because I want to have built-in shelving for this side of the wall. To make built-in shelving, I would have to increase the thickness a lot more for this piece. Make a duplicate of this pattern and remove all the internal lines. This will be the backing for the shelves to cover the cutout holes. Select all the internal shapes, right-click and choose Cut or Convert to Hole. And there, I have the second wall with shelving. For the back of the shelves, I am going to add some light strips. Use rectangle tool to make a narrow strip. Change color and select light for the material type. Lighting effect will only show in render. Here is another option to make shelves. After adding internal shapes to the wall, Instead of cutting them, select all the internal shape, right-click and clone as pattern. Then use offset as internal line to create shelving outlines. Select all the internal lines, right-click and choose Cut or use Convert to Whole. Use Gizmo to place all shelving outlines close to the wall. Go to Property Editor and add the amount for thickness rendering. Turn off Curve Side Geometry. Place all the pieces against the wall. And there, I have made floating box shelves. For the other side of the wall, I am going to add clothing rack. On Connect Clothes Set website, you can download free clothing rack. For this showroom, I prefer to have the built-in clothing rack attached to the wall. Select the second wall pattern, make a copy and paste. Delete all internal shapes. Use Gizmo to rotate and place it on the opposite side of the showroom. Create a new rectangle piece. Use offset as internal line to make rack outline. Select internal lines, right-click and cut. Delete the extra pieces. Round the corner by using Edit Curve tool to drag the corner point. Add thickness rendering and adjust curve side geometry percentage. Use Gizmo to rotate and position the rack pole against the wall. Make 2 duplicate rack poles. I am making one side of the rack for hanging long dresses and pants, and double bars on the other side to hang blouses and skirts. Once I position the 3 main rack poles, I am adding round bases to give the rack a more detailed finished look. If you have hard time to line up all the pieces, you can create an internal shape cutout on the wall. This helped me a lot. Next, I will add the top and lower bars. To make the bar, create a tiny circle pattern, and add the thickness rendering to 1000 or more. You can add as much detail as you like. However, the more details you have, it will slow down your computer. Now the rack is finished, I can change the material type to metal. The showroom is almost complete. I am going to add a couple more details. I am placing 2 circle platforms near the center wall. so I can put 2 mannequins to display garments later. Also, I am adding a glass panel in the front entrance. The last thing, I am adding 2 wall sconces. By the way, I downloaded this sconce from free3d.com. You can find many free OBJ items from there. Now I am happy with the design. It's time to export. Go to top window toolbar. Under File, select Export to OBJ. Enter the file name you want to save. It will bring out the Export OBJ window. Make sure you check Select All Patterns and select All Graphics and Trims. Check Single Object, Thick, and Centimeter 100%. And click OK. And here is the side-by-side comparison with OBJ Showroom next to the original. For the OBJ file, you will need to reselect the material type for all the pieces. Here is the render result for the showroom. It came out pretty well. Once you know the way to create a space in CLO3D, not only you can create different background, you can also use the same way to make your own runway stages. Thank you for watching the presentation part 1 video. In part 2, I will show you how to create hangers, place garment on hanger, fold clothes and place them on the shelf. Don't forget to click like and subscribe.